नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सगुणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्रीराधा कृष्ण पादान् सगण ललिता शिविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरि ओम तत्सत। So welcome all the devotees for today's Bhakti Viksha session, Nectar of Devotion. We are reading from chapter 4, if I'm not mistaken, right? Devotional service surpasses all liberation. So we have completed 3 chapters. Okay. So before, just a recap. Before we start, just a recap. How many types of devotional services are there? Mainly Sarvapalaka Prabhu, I think you are there. Or Mataji, Parvati Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu.
How many types of devotional service?
Prabhuji.
Okay. Anybody else remember? Prabhu is not there. Where is Sarvapalaka Prabhu? Sarvapalaka Prabhu, how many types of devotional service as per Nectar of Devotion, which we have read in the previous chapters?
Types.
Devotional service in practice?
3 types. Vaidhi sadhana bhakti,
Yeah.
raganuga bhakti, and Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti.
Yes. Okay. And in sadhana bhakti, how many categories?
2 categories.
Yes.
One is Vaidhi sadhana and raganuga.
Okay. So Vaidhi sadhana bhakti and raganuga bhakti. Okay. What are the characteristics of devotional service? There are 6 characteristics. Anybody else can say? Deeptimati Mataji, you are there?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Krishna Prabhuji, you remember which are those?
One is it brings all auspiciousness.
Yes. What is it called?
Keshagni.
No. Subhada.
Shubhada. Oh, correct. All auspicious is Shubhada. Yes.
Then
Yes.
second one, Sudurlabha.
Sudurlabha and Krishna Akarshani.
Krishna Akarshani. Okay. And first is Kleshagni.
Kleshagni. Okay. Kleshagni.
Sandarananda Visheshatma.
Visheshatma. Yes, Prabhuji. Okay.
Moksha Lagudakrita. Okay. So you have noted down all these. There are 6 characteristics of devotional service. So Kleshagni,
Shubhada.
Sudurlabha, Sandarananda Visheshatma,
Moksha
Moksha Lagudakrita, and one more,
Sri Krishna Akarshani.
Krishna Akarshani. So these are the 6 characteristics of devotional service. Now we are reading from chapter 4. Devotional service surpasses all liberation. Am I right? It's the same chapter, or have we finished this? Nobody remembers. Okay, no problem. That's, even if it is repetition, no problem. We'll read it. Okay. How much a devotee is seriously attached to the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be understood from the statement of Maharaja Prithu, Adi Raja, which is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 20th chapter, verse 24. He prays to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus, my dear Lord, if after taking liberation I have no chance of hearing the glories of your Lordship, glories chanted by pure devotees from the core of their hearts in praise of your lotus feet, and if I have no chance for this honey of transcendental bliss, then I shall never ask for liberation or this so-called spiritual emancipation. I shall simply always pray unto your lotus lordship, that you may give me millions of tongues and millions of ears, so that I can constantly chant and hear your transcendental glories. So here Prithu Maharaj is asking the Supreme Lord to give him millions of tongues and millions of ears, so that constantly hearing, okay, constantly chanting the transcendental glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. Okay, Pipada Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. We have to drink the nectar of all the scriptures, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the, summum bonum of everything. The Rasamalayam, the juice of all the mellows, the juice of all the rasas. So that we have to drink through the years. How can we drink through the years? How can we do that? Drinking through the years. What is the process?
By hearing, Prabhuji.
Yes, by hearing. By hearing what? The transcendental glories, activities, pastimes, and attributes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. So Supreme Personality of Godhead is not alone. He is along with his pure devotees and paraphernalia, attributes and everything. He doesn't come alone. He has an entourage, okay, that consists of his pure devotees. Okay, we should not think that he is alone. He has his whole entourage. So we have to glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his whole entourage, that is his pure devotees, his pastimes, his attributes, his paraphernalia, everything has to be glorified. Okay, just we were listening about about whom? Alvar, Kulashekar Alvar. Okay, so all the 12 Alvars are the 12 ornaments of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Alvar Kulashekara is, I think, the sword of the Supreme Lord. So this is, they have taken birth just to repeat the words of the Supreme Lord, to glorify the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees. Okay, so the impersonalists decide to merge into the existence of the Supreme, but without keeping their individuality, they have no chance of hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord. So the Brahmavadis or Mayavadis who doesn't accept the Supreme Lord as a person, they have no chance to listen to this. Why? Because they don't exist in the first place, the form of the Supreme Lord. So they miss out this golden opportunity of relishing these pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So this is what they are lacking, because they don't accept that. They want, after liberation, they want to merge in the Supreme Brahman effulgence. So they lack the opportunity to hear about the glories of the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees, because they have no idea of the transcendental form of the Supreme Lord. There is no chance of their chanting and hearing of his transcendental activities. In other words, unless one is already beyond liberation, one cannot relish the transcendental glories of the Lord, nor can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord. So only in a liberated stage, okay, Brahma Bhuta stage, can one understand the transcendental activities of the Lord, as it is. So here in this material world, what we are supposed to do? We have to glorify the Supreme Lord. 24 hours. Kirtaniya Sadahari. Satadam Kirtayanto Mam. So this is what we have to do. And after liberation, what we are supposed to do? We are supposed to do the same thing. So for us, for the Vaishnavas, The means and the goals, the means and the goal are the same. Whereas for the other Sampradaya who are in the impersonalist or Brahma Sampradaya, the Brahman realization or Mayavadis, for them, the means is chanting or devotional service. But after they liberate from this material world, they want to merge. They want to lose their identity. Okay, so this is the difference between personalism and impersonalism. Brahmavadis want to merge, Mayavadis also want to merge in the Supreme Brahman, whereby they lose their individuality and they can no longer relish this, the activities and pastimes of Supreme Lord. So even in the Vaikunthas or Goloka Vrindavana, what is going on? Continuous singing the glories of the Supreme Lord is happening. So a similar statement is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 14th chapter, verse 44. Sukadeva Goswami addresses Parikshit Maharaj there and says, the great soul king Bharata was so much attached to the service of the lotus feet of Krishna that he very easily gave up his lordship over the earthly planet and his affection for his children, society, friends, royal opulence, and beautiful wife. He was so very lucky that the goddess of fortune was pleased to offer him all kinds of material concessions. He never accepted any of these material opulences. So, as we all know, Bharat Maharaj, King Bharat, left all his opulences, his wives, his kingdom, his children, his relatives, and went for meditation. So, he was so much attached to the devotional service of the Lord. So, all these material possessions and the relationship, everything was petty for him in front of the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, that's the reason that he could leave all these things, the so-called material happiness. So this is the real understanding, realization of the pure devotee of the Lord. We are so much attached in this material world, to leave one pen, which you have so much of possession, we are obsessed with, possessed with, we cannot leave. What to speak of other things. So the devotees of the Lord are so attached to the transcendent glories of the Supreme Personality of God. So much, the King Bharata, so opulent king. He had so many beautiful wives, children, and anything is there at his doorstep. So from that level, he has renounced everything and went to the forest for self-realization, emancipation. So this is the pure devotee. So whereas a materialist, are so much attached to their material positions and possession, that's very difficult for them to relinquish or leave or renounce all these things. So slowly, as a practitioners, we have to slowly and gradually renounce the worldly things and get attached to devotional service. It is not that we are running away. Simultaneously, by taking our responsibilities, by doing our responsibilities, we should also detach from the worldly things and attach ourselves into devotional service. So he was so very lucky that the goddess of fortune was pleased to offer him all kinds of material concessions. But he never accepted any of these material opulences. Sukadeva Goswami praises this behavior of King Bharata very highly. He says, any person whose heart is attracted by the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Madhusudana, does not care even for that liberation which is aspired by many great sages, what to speak of material opulences. So this is the situation in which devotees are in. Okay. So in the Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 11th chapter, verse 25, there is a similar statement by Vritrasura, who addressed the Lord as follows: My dear Lord, by leaving your transcendental service, I may be promoted to the planet called Dhruvaloka, the pole star, or I may gain lordship over all the planetary systems of the universe, but I do not aspire to this. So this is Vritrasura's prayer. I don't want, the worldly opulences. I don't want the Dhruvaloka, the pole star. I don't want any lordship over all the planetary systems, upper, middle, and lower. And nor do I aspire spiritual emancipation. What is that? Nor do I aspire liberation from this material. All I wish for, my Lord, your association and transcendental service eternally. Okay? Janma Janmandar. I want to be the servant of your lotus feet of the lotus feet of. So that is Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dasa Dasanu Dasa. So this is what I am aspiring for. I want to serve your lotus feet or the lotus feet of, your servants. This is my eternal position. This is what I, not any material opulences, not Dhruvaloka, nor a lordship or different planetary system. I want to be, your servant or the servant of the servant of the servant of the lotus feet of Krishna, birth after birth. So this is what he is aspiring. Who? Vritrasura. So this statement is confirmed by Lord Shiva in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 17th chapter, verse 28, wherein Lord Shiva addresses Sati thus: My dear Sati, persons who are devoted to Narayana, Krishna, are not afraid of anything. If they are elevated to the higher planetary systems, or if they get liberation from material contamination, or if they are pushed down to the hellish condition of life, or in fact, in any situation, whatever, they are not afraid of anything, simply because they have taken shelter of the lotus feet of Narayana. For them, any position in the material world is as good as another. So, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also in the Shishashramam praying that I want to take, even though I may have to take birth after birth, but please put me as the dust of your lotus feet, birth after birth, because I want to serve you in whatever condition, in whichever situation I am. Even if I am pushed to the hellish condition, no problem. But I want to serve you birth after birth. So this is the prayer of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. There is a similar statement by Indra, the king of heaven, in Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, 18th chapter, verse 74. There Indra addresses Mother Diti in this manner: My dear mother, persons who have given up all kinds of desire and all simply engage in devout service to the Lord know what is actually their self-interest. Such persons are actually serving their self-interest and are considered first-class experts in the matter of advancing to the perfectional stage of life. So what should be our self-interest here? Wealth, name, fame, position, possession. So what should be the self-interest? Indra is telling this. Indra is a Sakama Bhakta, but still he knows the Tattva. He knows the philosophy, Siddhanta. So what is his self-interest? Here he is mentioning devotees. What should be our self-interest?
Simply engage in devotional service to the Lord.
Yes, simply engage in the devotional service to the Lord and his pure devotees. So that will only enable us to get out of the material existence, to get out of the clutches of Maya, nothing else. Okay, not that we are becoming very wealthy person, acquiring or amassing lot of wealth, name, fame, possession. No, these are all only material. Why? Because we have to come again and again. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. So that will be the result of material activities. But a pure devotee wants to engage in the loving devotional service of the Supreme Personality of God and his pure devotees, birth after birth. Not even liberation. They don't even aspire for the liberation from the material world. So this is the prayers of all the pure devotees. So you take any scriptures, all the pure devotees prays for this only. So in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, 6th chapter, verse 25, Maharaja Prahlada says, My dear friends, born into atheistic families, if you can please the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, then there is nothing more rare in this world. Okay. In other words, if the Supreme Lord Krishna is pleased with you, then any desire you may have within the core of your heart can be fulfilled without any doubt. When we go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when we approach, Lord, Supreme Lord, any temple, what do we pray for? I want this material wealth, I want a good job, I want a good house, I want a good car, I want a good wife or a good husband, good children. This is what exactly we pray, isn't it? Most of us. But when we go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I want you, my Lord. When we get the Lord, everything comes along with him. It's not that I want your opulence. I want you yourself. Please come with me. So this is a good proposition. Don't take his wealth. Take the Lord with himself. Just like when you go to a very wealthy man, you're asking some money, right? And he gives it. But instead, if you ask, you please come with me, you stay with me, you be my friend. And when we have a good connection, whatever he has, it is ours. So we should ask the Lord himself to be with us. It's not his opulences. Okay? There are people who serves or pray only for Lakshmi. We should pray for Lakshmi Narayana. Lakshmi will be there where Narayana is there. Lakshmi is Chanchala. Lakshmi may stay with us for some time. Today Lakshmi is with me, tomorrow it's with you. So the wealth, since Lakshmi is Chanchala, the wealth also goes from hand to hand. So we should pray for Lakshmi Narayana. So when Lakshmi Narayana is in our house, whatever is required will be there in abundance. So this is how we should have the Supreme Lord with us, not his opulence. Okay. So as such, what is the use of elevating yourself by the results of fruitive activities, which are automatically achieved in all events by the modes of nature? So all the fruitive activities or fruitive results will be achieved by the modes of material nature. Sattva-guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. What is the use of you? What is the use for you of spiritual emancipation or liberation from material bondage? If you are always engaged in chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord and always relishing the nectar of the lotus feet of Lord, then there is no necessity for any of this. These are all very, very petty things. All the material name and fame and positions and possession, all considered to be material petty things. When you have the Supreme Lord with yourself, when you are always relishing, chanting the glories of Supreme Lord, so that is the most important part of it. So by this statement of Prahlada Maharaj, it is clearly understood that one who takes pleasure in chanting and hearing the transcendent glories of the Lord has already surpassed all kinds of material benedictions, including the results of pious fruitive activities, sacrifices, and even liberation from material bondage. So, any comments or any questions from these paras? Haribol, devotees. Okay. If you don't have any comments or thoughts, we'll go ahead. Okay. Similarly, in the same 7th canto, 8th chapter, verse 42, when the demigods are offering prayers to Lord Narasimha, Indra, the king of heaven, says, "O Supreme One, these demons talk of our share of participation in the performance of ritualistic activities, sacrifices, but simply by your appearance as Lord Narasimha, you have saved us from terrible fears. Actually, our shares in the sacrificial performances are due to you only, because you are the supreme enjoyer of all sacrifices." As we all know, he is the supreme enjoyer. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhurdam sarvabhutanam jnatvam shanti richadi. So he is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Okay, so when we give everything, you keep the Lord Krishna in the center, Vishnu in the center, he is the sender. Okay, then everything will fall in place. So this is again the demigods are praying to Lord Narasimha Dev. You are the super soul of every living entity, and therefore you are the actual owner of everything. Long were our hearts always filled with fear of this demon Hiranyakashipu, but you are so kind towards us that by killing him you have removed that fear from within our hearts and have given us the chance to place your lordship within our hearts again, because they were so much scared and afraid of Hiranyakashipu. Now after killing, they have become pacified. Now it is easy for us to keep yourself in our heart. This is what Indra is telling. So all the opulences which were taken away from us by the demons are counted as nothing. Devotees do not care even for liberation. What to speak of these material opulences? Actually, we are not enjoyers of the fruits of sacrifices. Our only duty is to always be engaged in your service, for you are the enjoyer of everything. So our main purpose is to please the Supreme Lord by offering everything unto him. He is the Bhokta, he is the enjoyer. We are being enjoyed by him. So when he is enjoying and when we are being enjoyed by him, we get bliss and happiness. So we also get as a byproduct the enjoyment. It's not that we are bereft of any enjoyment. Since the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the Bhokta, when we are placing him, we are also getting pleased. So this is what we have to understand from this. So the purport of this statement by Indra is that beginning from Brahma down to the insignificant ant, no living entities are meant for enjoying the material opulences. They are simply meant for offering everything to the Supreme Proprietor, the personality of Godhead. By doing so, they automatically enjoy the benefit. So this is, as I told you, when the Supreme Lord is enjoying, we are automatically getting the benefit of that enjoyment also, being part and parcel of that Supreme Lord. Mamevamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. So we are the eternal amsha of the Supreme Lord, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. When the whole body, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is enjoying, definitely the part and parcel of that whole body, Supreme Personality of Godhead, can also be enjoyed. So this is, so the main Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Whole, should be enjoyed, and simultaneously being part and parcel of that body, will also get the enjoyment. The example can be cited again of the different parts of the body collecting foodstuffs and cooking them so that ultimately a meal may be offered to the stomach. After it has gone to the stomach, all the parts of the body equally enjoy the benefit of the meal. So similarly, everyone's duty is to satisfy the Supreme Lord, and then automatically everyone will become satisfied. So as we all know, by just supplying food to the stomach, the different parts of the body also gets nourished. It's not necessary for us to feed each and every part of the body. Just like pouring water at the root of the tree, all the branches, sticks, leaves, fruits, flowers, everything gets nourished. Similarly, when we please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the parts and parcel who also gets satisfied. So this is the Siddhanta that we have to understand. A similar verse is found in the 8th canto, 3rd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 20. Gajendra says there, my dear Lord, I have no experience of the transcendental bliss derived from your devotional service. So, therefore, I have asked from you some favor. But I know that persons who are pure devotees and have, by serving the lotus feet of great souls, become freed from all material desires, are always immersed in the ocean of transcendental bliss, and as such are always satisfied simply by glorifying your auspicious characteristics. For them, there is nothing else to aspire to or pray for. So here the Gajendra prayer, the Gajendra is also praying. Those pure devotees who have taken shelter of the great souls have become freed from the material desires. So there is no Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam, if they are taking shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees, simply by glorifying your auspicious characteristics. That is the highest that we can aspire for, not this petty material demands. Okay, this will be automatically taken care of by destiny as per our karma phala. We don't have to specifically endeavor for this. No extraneous effort is required for getting our karma phala. We are destined to get it, we will get it. But what we have to aspire for is to get out of the material existence altogether, once for all, not to take birth again and again. So this is what we have to aspire. For that, we have to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his pure devotees. We should understand who we are, why we have come to this material world, which is the best form that one should have to get out of this material existence. The best form is the human form. And we are very lucky and fortunate to get this form. So many living entities are there in different forms. So compared to all other living entities, we are the most luckiest, fortunate one to be situated in a form that is conducive and suitable for getting out of this clutches of Maya and go to that abode where everything is anxiety free, everything is eternal, full of knowledge and blissful. So we should not waste this human life. We should make use of this. If you don't make use of this in this time, again we have to take another birth. So we do not know after how many births will we get this human form again. So we should not waste this human form. In the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam, 4th chapter, verse 67, the Lord of Vaikuntha replies to Durvasa Muni thus: my pure devotees are always satisfied being engaged in devotional service, and therefore they do not aspire even after the 5 liberated stages, which are to be one with me, to achieve residence on my planet, to have my opulences, to possess bodily features similar to mine, and to gain personal association with me. So when they are not interested even in these liberated positions, you can know how little they care for material opulences or mental liberation. So Vaikunthanatha is telling Durvasa Muni that my pure devotees even don't aspire for these 5 types of liberation: Sayujya Mukti, Salokya Mukti, Samipya Mukti, Sastya, and Salokya Mukti,
Sarupya.
Sarupya Mukti. Okay, they are not. So what to speak of the material opulences? They are not even interested in these 5 types of liberation. They want to engage in my devotional service birth after birth. So this is what, the Vaikunthanatha, Lord Vishnu, is telling Durvasa Muni. So there is a similar prayer by the Nagapatnis. So Prabhupada is giving different prayers of different personalities from Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a similar prayer by Nagapatnis, wives of Kaliya serpent, in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 16th chapter, verse 37. The Nagapatnis say there, dear Lord, the dust of your lotus feet is very wonderful. Any person who is fortunate enough to achieve this dust does not care for heavenly planets, lordship over all the planetary systems, the mystic perfection of yoga, or even liberation from material existence. In other words, anyone who adores the dust of your lotus feet does not care a fig for all other perfectional stages. So this is the prayer of Nagapatnis. Those who have got the dust of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead doesn't want anything else. So that is the highest perfection. So this is the perfection of yoga, not even liberation. So this is, getting the dust of the lotus feet of Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you want to get the mercy of Vrindavana, what we should do? Any idea? If you want to get the mercy of Vrindavana Dham, what we should do there? Devotees, any idea?
Let's say dust of the Vrindavan Prabhu.
What is that?
Dust of the Vrindavan Prabhu.
Yes, we should roll in the dust of Vrindavan. We should roll in the dust of Vrindavan. Raja Raja. Okay? Just like Uddhava did. He was just rolling in the dust of Vrindavan. And if you want the mercy of Navadip Dham, what we should do? We should take bath in the Ganges. Okay? And if you want the mercy of Jagannath Puri Dham, what we should do? Any idea?
Eat prasadam, Prabhuji.
Yes, Haribol, honor prasadam. And that place, that tract of land, where Jagannath Puri is situated, it is not coming under the jurisdiction of any demigods. It's directly under the command of Supreme Personality of Godhead Jagannath. No rules and regulation of demigods apply there. If you are in Jagannath Puri Dham, it's not necessary even to observe Ekadashi. There is no Ekadashi observed there in Jagannath Puri. So Jagannath Puri, Jagannath is a mystical, very amazing, mysterious personality. It's very difficult to understand his pastimes. Okay, with our logic and understanding, it's not possible for us to understand the pastimes of Lord Jagannath. There are many, many pastimes of Lord Jagannath. Especially, it is the time of Jagannath Ratha Yatra. So very nice to glorify the Supreme Lord Jagannath. And his eyes are dilated so big. He doesn't want to miss anyone. He wants to give darshan and he wants to see everyone. So this is Lord Jagannath, very mystical, very magical personality. So there is a similar statement in the 10th canto, 87th chapter, verse 21, wherein the Shrutis, the Vedas personified, pray to the Lord as follows. Dear Lord, it is very difficult to understand spiritual knowledge. Your appearance here, just as you are, is to explain to us this most difficult subject of knowledge of the spirit. As such, your devotees who have left their domestic comforts to associate with the liberated acharyas, teachers, are now fully immersed in the devotional service of your lordship, and thus they do not care for any so-called liberation. So the devotees of the Lord, doesn't care for the so-called liberation. Why it is so-called liberation? Because liberation is, just like Rupa Goswami says, that bhukti mukti, that is liberation and material enjoyment, is a maid servant who are ready to serve me at my doorstep. So devotees doesn't care for liberation and material enjoyment. Okay, so this is the status of pure devotees. Okay. And in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvadah tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti so Arjuna. So when we understand, a person who understands the appearance and activities of the Supreme Lord never takes birth again in this material world. They will get my abode. And here it said it's very difficult to understand your activities. Only the pure devotees can, to a certain extent, understand by the mercy of the Supreme Lord himself. Otherwise, on our own accord, it is not possible. So if we have mercy of the Supreme Lord and his pure devotees, then it is possible to understand the pastimes and activities and appearance of the Supreme Lord to the extent that is required to be understood. Not everything. So in explaining this verse, it should be noted that spiritual knowledge means understanding the self and the super soul or super self. The individual soul and the super soul are qualitatively one, and therefore both of them are known as Brahman or spirit. But knowledge of Brahman is very difficult to understand. There are so many philosophers engaged in the matter of understanding the soul, but they are unable to make any tangible advancement. Because why? They are not making any advancement because with their own effort, with their own logical understanding, they are trying to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is not possible. The process should be descending, avarohanam, not arohanam, not ascending method. With our experiment and knowledge, it's not possible. So if you are ready to accept the Shabda Praman, then we will be able to understand the Supreme Lord, not with our own, tiny and puny knowledge with imperfect senses. It's not possible. So for them, advancement is very difficult. For the materialistic people, advancement is very difficult because they are using their senses, which are imperfect, to know the super soul, who is perfect. So it's not possible. With imperfect senses to understand the perfect is not possible. So we have to accept the Shastra, the Shabda Pramana. Then it is possible. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that out of many millions of persons, only one may try to understand what is spiritual knowledge, and out of many such persons who are trying to understand, only one or a few may know what is Supreme Personality of Godhead. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit etati siddhaye etadam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvadah. So after many thousands of people, hardly few will try to endeavor to understand me. Out of such perfected beings, hardly one will know me in truth. So this is what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. So this verse says that spiritual knowledge is very difficult to achieve, and so in order to make it more easily attainable, the Supreme Lord himself comes in his original form as Sri Krishna and gives his instruction directly to an associate like Arjuna, just so that the people in general may take advantage of this spiritual knowledge. So Lord Krishna is using Arjuna as a via medium, an instrument to pass on this message to all of us. Because without Arjuna, we wouldn't know anything. There should be a sampradaya, an acharya, a disciplic succession. Because we don't have that purity to approach Krishna. We are so impure that we cannot approach Lord. So we need a via media, a teacher, a spiritual master to get this knowledge. So Lord Krishna is using Arjuna to pass on this scripture to pass on this message of Gita so that we may take advantage and advance in spiritual pursuit. So this verse also explains that liberation means having completely given up all material comforts of life. Those who are impersonalists are satisfied by simply being liberated from the material circumstances. But those who are devotees can automatically give up material life and also enjoy the transcendent bliss of hearing and chanting the wonderful activities of Lord Krishna. So devotees always relish chanting the glories, discussing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Machitta Madgata Prana, Bodhayanda Parasparam, Kathayandascha Mam Nityam, Tushyandicha Ramandicha. So this is what devotees are aspiring, to come together in association of other devotees and discuss about the glories and pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by which they relish each and every second. So when we discuss about the pastimes and the activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, we won't know how the time passes. And we are not bothered about the external material world, what is happening there. We are totally engrossed in chanting and glorifying the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And till the time we are in association with the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, discussing his pastimes and the activities and appearance, what happens? We are not knowing that we are in this material world. We are totally elevated to the spiritual world. So this is, the best part of it. In the association of devotees, we should discuss Harikatha. So we will forget all our other problems, material problems and miseries, at least for that time. So in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 20th chapter, verse 34, Lord Krishna says to Uddhava, "My dear Uddhava, the devotees who have completely taken shelter of my service are so steadfast in devotional service that they have no other desire." So the devotees doesn't have any other material desire, because they have already taken my shelter and they're always happy in discussing the pastimes and glories and chanting and hearing about me. Lord Krishna says in Srimad Bhagavatam, even if they are offered the 4 kinds of spiritual opulences, they will refuse to accept them. So what to speak of their desiring anything within this material world? Similarly, Lord Krishna says in another passage of the Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 14th chapter, verse 14, "My dear Uddhava, a person whose consciousness is completely absorbed in my thought and activities does not aspire even to occupy the post of Brahma or the post of Indra or the post of lordship over the planets or the 8 kinds of mystic perfection or even liberation itself." So he's further discussing about different types of material opulences. The pure devotees doesn't even want to occupy the post of Brahma. That is the highest position in the material world, Brahma's position. He doesn't want that. Not even the post of Indra. Why? Indra is enjoying in the heavenly planets, Sargaloka. He doesn't want that. Not even the post of lordship of other planets, to become the in charge or the enjoyer of other planets, heavenly planets, or the 8 kinds of mystic perfections, the yoga siddhis, or even liberation, the liberation from this material world. So they are not after any of these opulences. In the 12th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th chapter, verse 6, Lord Shiva says to Devi, "My dear Devi, this great Brahmana," says Markandeya, "has attained unflinching faith and devotion unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, he does not aspire after any benedictions, including liberation from the material world." So this is, he further says, Lord Shiva is telling Parvati about Markandeya. Even Markandeya has also attained unflinching faith and devotion unto the Supreme Lord. So he is also not aspiring for any material benedictions. The 5th kind of liberation, merging with the Supreme, is not considered an opulence in spiritual variegated existence. So Prabhupada has given with an asterisk that the 5th kind of liberation, merging with Supreme, is not considered an opulence in spiritual variegated existence. So that is not at all decided by the devotee. Devotees may aspire for the other form, but not for this. It is just as good as spiritual suicide. we want to get rid of the form by which we can serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is the Sayuja Mukti. So the devotees will never aspire for that. That is spiritual suicide. Similarly, there is a statement in Padma Purana describing the ritualistic function during the month of Kartika, October, November. That is a Kartik month. During this month in Vrindavana, it is the regulatory principles to pray daily to Lord Krishna in his Damodara form. We all know during the Damodara month, we pray to Radha Damodar in that form. So the Damodara form refers to Krishna in his childhood when he was tied up with rope by his mother, Yashoda. Dama means ropes and Udara means the abdomen. So Mother Yashoda, being disturbed by naughty Krishna, bound him round the abdomen with a rope. Thus Krishna is named Damodara. Whose belly has been tied with Dama or rope is called Dama Udara, Damodara. So he is Damodara Bhagavan. So this is a pastime, very sweet, loving exchange between Mother Yashoda and Lord Damodara. So during Kartika, Damodara is prayed as follows. My dear Lord, you are the Lord of all, the giver of all benedictions. There are many demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva who sometimes offer benedictions to their respective devotees. For example, Ravana was blessed with many benedictions by Lord Shiva and Hiranyakashipu was blessed by Lord Brahma. But even Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma depend upon the benedictions of Lord Krishna, and therefore Krishna is addressed as the Lord of all benefactors. So even for such exalted demigods like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma to give some benedictions or boons to others, they have to depend upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. On their own, they cannot. They are empowered or getting the authority from Krishna to benedict or to give boons to their devotees. As such, Lord Krishna can offer his devotees anything they want, but still the devotees' prayers continues. I do not ask you for liberation or any material facility up to the point of liberation. What I want as your favor is that I may always think of your form in which I see you now as Damodara. So this is the prayer. Let me see you always in this form, exchanging sweet pastimes between yourself and your mother. Let this form of yours be, reside in my heart. This is the prayer of devotees. You are so beautiful and attractive that my mind does not want anything besides this wonderful form. Just like Kolavecha Sridhar in Chaitanya Leela says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked him, so what boon you want? Please ask me. Oh my dear Lord, I don't want anything. Let this form of yourself bargaining with me be always situated in my heart. So this is what Kolavecha Sridhar also prayed. Just like here, all the devotees are asking, this form of yours, Damodara, let this be always situated in my heart. Let me relish this form. In this same prayer, there is another passage in which it is said, my dear Lord Damodara, once when you were playing as a naughty boy in the house of Nanda Maharaja, you broke the box containing yogurt. And because of that, Mother Yashoda considered you an offender and tied you with rope to the household grinding mortar. At that time, you delivered the two sons of Kuvera, Nalakuvera and Manigriva, who were staying there as two Arjuna trees in the yard of Nanda Maharaja. My only request is that by your merciful pastime, you may similarly deliver me. So this is a prayer done by Satyavrata Muni. The sons of Kuvera, the treasurer of Indra, the heavenly planet, Nalakuvera and Manigriva were delivered. How? By the mercy of Narada Muni. Okay. So my only request is that by your merciful pastime, you may similarly deliver me. So this is what the prayer. So the story behind this verse is that the two sons of Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, were puffed up on account of the opulence of their father. And so once a heavenly planet, they were enjoying themselves in a lake with some naked damsels of heaven. At that time, the great Saint Narada Muni was passing on the road and was so sorry to see the behavior of the sons of Kuvera. Seeing Narada passing by, the damsels of heaven covered their bodies with cloth, but the two sons, being drunkards, did not have this decency. Narada became angry with that behavior and cursed them thus, you have no sense. So it is better if you become trees instead of the sons of Kuvera. So we also know from this pastime that if you want to exhibit our bodies, what forms will we get in our next life? Tree forms, because we want to exhibit our bodies. So be it. So in the form of trees, the trees are exhibiting their body in all the season. So all those who wants to exhibit the bodies without covering it properly, they will take birth as trees. But here one thing we have to understand, although Narada Muni has cursed this Nalakuvera and Manigriva, it is a blessing in disguise. All these curses of these great personalities will be nectar at the end. So this became an opportunity for them to get delivered from the body of the trees. They got their real Swarupa. That is also the mercy of Narada Maharshi. So, but Krishna himself will appear in time as foster son of Nanda, and he will deliver you. So this is what, when they asked to forgive them, Narada Maharshi said, don't worry, when Krishna comes in Dwapara Yuga, in the land of Vraja, when he comes as the son of Nanda, he will deliver you. So this pastimes happened that time. In other words, the curse of Narada was a benediction to the sons of Kuvera, because indirectly it was foretold that they would be able to receive the favor of Lord Krishna. After that, Kuvera's two sons stood as two big Arjuna trees, Yamala Arjuna. We know that the story, you know. They were the Yamala Arjuna trees on the courtyard of Nanda Maharaj, until Lord Damodara, in order to fulfill the desire of Narada. So they were standing till this pastime took place. Dragged the grinding mortar, to which he was tied, and struck the two trees, violently causing them to fall down. From out of these fallen trees came Nalakuvera and Manigriva, who had by then become great devotees of the Lord. So they became great devotees and got their original Swarupa, and they went back to their original place. So there is a passage in the Hayasisha Pancharatra that states, my dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I do not want any resultant benediction from any religious life, from my religious life, nor do I want any economic development, nor do I want any to enjoy sense gratification for liberation. I simply pray to an eternal servant at your lotus feet. Kindly oblige me and give me this benediction. This is exactly what is prayed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Shishakshara. Okay? I don't want anything, no material opulence, no liberation. I want to serve you birth after birth, in whichever condition, in whatever situation you are putting me in. In the same Hayasisha Pancharatra, after Narasimhadeva wanted to give benedictions to Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad did not accept any material benedictions and simply asked the favor of the Lord to remain his eternal devotee. So this is Prahlada's mood also. He also did not ask anything from Narasimhadev. He wanted to remain as an eternal devotee of the Supreme Lord birth after birth. In this connection, Prahlad Maharaj cited the example of Hanuman, the eternal servitor of Lord Ramchandra, who also set an example by never asking any material favor from the Lord. Hanuman also was, of that type of a devotee. He never asked any benediction from the Supreme Lord. He always remained engaged in the service, the Lord's service. That is the ideal character of Hanuman, for which he is still worshipped by all devotees. Okay, so Hanuman is also worshipping the Supreme Lord as what? As Dasya, as the servant of the Supreme Lord. Prahlad Maharaj also offered his respectful obeisances unto Hanuman. There is a well-known verse spoken by Hanuman in which he says, my dear Lord, if you like, you can give me salvation from this material existence or the privilege of merging into your existence. But I do not wish any of these things. I do not want anything that diminishes my relationship with you as servant to master even after liberation. So this was his mood. He wanted to eternally serve Lord Ramchandra as servant. In a similar passage in the Narada Pancharatra, it is stated, my dear Lord, I do not wish any perfection stage by performing the ritualistic religious ceremonies or by economic development or by sense gratification or liberation. I simply pray that you grant me the favor of keeping me under your lotus feet. I do not wish any kind of liberation, such as Salokya to reside in your planet, or Sarupya to have the same bodily features as you. I simply pray for your favor that I may be always engaged in your loving service. So we see that many prayers from Srimad Bhagavatam. All the pure devotees of the Lord doesn't want any material opulences nor any types of liberation. They always want to be at their lotus, at his lotus feet, doing devotional service birth after birth. So this is the mood of all the pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Similarly, in the 6th canto, 14th chapter, verse 5 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaja Parikshit inquires from Sukadeva Goswami, my dear Brahmana, I understand that the demon Vritrasura was a greatly sinful person and that his mentality was completely absorbed in the modes of passion and ignorance. How did he develop to such a perfection stage of devout service to Narayana? I have heard that even great persons who have undergone severe austerities and who are liberated with full knowledge must strive to become devotees of the Lord. It is understood that such persons are very rare and almost never to be seen. So I am astonished that Vritrasura became such a devotee. So here Parikshit Maharaj is putting a question to Sukadeva Goswami. How is this demon Vritrasura became a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord? So what is the secret of that? Please enlighten me. Parikshit Maharaj is asking Sukadeva Goswami. So in the above verse, the most important thing to be noted is that there may be many liberated persons who have merged into the existence of the impersonal Brahman, but a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Narayana is very rare. Even out of millions of liberated persons, only one is fortunate enough to become a devotee. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 8th chapter, verse 20, Queen Kunti is praying to Lord Krishna at the time of his departure. My dear Krishna, you are so great that you are inconceivable even to great stalwart scholars and Paramahamsas, fully liberated souls. So if such great sages who are transcendental to all the reactions of material existence are unable to know you, then as far as we are concerned, belonging to the less intelligent women class, how is it possible for us to know your glories? So Kunti Maharani is asking Lord Krishna, the great personalities, the great sages, scholars, Paramahamsas cannot understand you. So how can we, the lowest class, the women and the Shudras will know your glories? And how is it possible for us to know your glories? This is Kunti Maharani is asking. How can we understand you? In this verse, the particular thing to be noted is that the personality of Godhead is not understood by great liberated persons, but only by devotees such as Queen Kunti in her humbleness. Although she was a woman and was considered less intelligent than a man, still she realized the glories of Krishna. So that is the purport of this verse. So it is her greatness that she is, being very humble to tell that, she being a woman doesn't understand. But she is a pure devotee. She understands the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what we have to understand from this statement. Another passage that is very important in Srimad Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 7th chapter, verse 10, and is called the Atma Rama verse. In this Atma Rama verse, it is stated that even those who are completely liberated from material contamination are attracted by the transcendental qualities of Lord Krishna. Okay. The purport of this verse is that a liberated soul has absolutely no desire at all for material enjoyment. He is wholly freed from all kinds of material desires, yet still he is irresistibly attracted by the desire to hear and understand the pastimes of the Lord. We may therefore conclude that the glories and pastimes of the Lord are not material. Otherwise, how could the liberated persons known as Atma Ramas be attracted by such pastimes? That is the important point in this verse. So the Atma Ramascha Munayo, there is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, I think they are referring to the same verse. There is a discussion between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. 7 days Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was giving lecture on Vedas. to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, thinking that he's a low-class sannyasi. Let me, make him a good sannyasi of good standing. So he was giving 7 days discourse on Vedanta Sutra. And Mahaprabhu listened for 7 days. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, how is that you were just listening all the 7 days? You did not ask any questions. There was no response from you. Did you really understand? Then Mahaprabhu said, I understood all the slokas you have recited, but I did not understand anything that you have interpreted. Okay, and he has picked up this Atma Ramascha Muneyo verse, in which Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave interpretation in 9 different ways. Okay, about this verse, 9 different ways. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, without touching these 9 different ways of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's interpretation, he explained the same verse in 61 different ways, without touching what Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has explained. It's one verse. So this is, especially this particular verse when it came, just I remembered that. Atma Ramas, be attracted by such pastimes. So that is the important point in this verse. This Atma Rama verse was once nicely, it is there already, explained by Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami also. There is a detailed explanation of this verse in the others teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So this was very nicely explained to Sanatana Goswami also. From the above statement, it is found that a devotee is not after any stages of liberation. There are 5 stages of liberation already explained as being to become one with the Lord, to live on the same planet as the Lord, to obtain the same bodily features of the Lord, to have the same opulence as the Lord, and 5, to have constant association with the Lord. Out of these 5 liberated stages, the one which is known as Sayujya, or to merge into the existence of the Lord, is the last to be accepted by a devotee. The other 4 liberation, although not decided by the devotees, are still not against the devotional ideals. Some of the liberated persons who have achieved these 4 stages of liberation may also develop affection for Krishna and be promoted to the Goloka Vrindavana planet in the spiritual sky. In other words, those who are already promoted to the Vaikuntha planets and who possess the 4 kinds of liberation may also sometimes develop affection for Krishna and become promoted to Krishna Loka. So what we understand from this, that those who are in the Vaikuntha planets in different liberated stages like Sarupya, Samipya, Salokya, Sastya, if they also can develop a desire to serve the Supreme Lord in Vrindavana as Krishna. So they also can get promoted from Vaikuntha Loka to Krishna Loka. So those who are in the 4 liberated states may still be going through different stages of existence. In the beginning, they may want the opulences of Krishna, but the mature stage of dormant love for Krishna exhibited in Vrindavana becomes prominent in their hearts. As such, the pure devotees never accept the liberation of Sayujya to become one with the Supreme, though sometimes they may accept as favorable the other 4 liberated states. So we should follow in the footsteps of those pure devotees of Vrindavana, so that we'll get to the supreme abode, the highest abode of Goloka Vrindavana. We should follow in the footsteps of such devotees so that we can render devotional service in their mood, following in their footsteps. Out of many kinds of devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the one who is attracted to the original form of the Lord, Krishna in Vrindavana, is considered to be the foremost, first-class devotee. Such a devotee is never attracted by the opulences of Vaikuntha or even Dwaraka, the royal city where Krishna ruled. The conclusion of Sri Rupa Goswami is that the devotees who are attracted by the pastimes of the Lord in Gokula or Vrindavana are the topmost devotees. So who are the topmost devotees? Who are attracted to by the pastimes of the Lord in Gokula, Vrajendra Nandana, okay, Lord Krishna, They are the topmost devotees. That's why if you want to get elevated to the topmost realm of the spiritual world, we have to follow in the footsteps of those devotees, Gopas or Gopis, so that we can attain to the topmost realm of the spiritual world. And there we can enjoy with the Supreme Personality of Godhead in different mellows as per our Surupa. So it may be Shantarasa or Dasirasa, Sakyarasa, Vatsalya or Madhurasa. So in any of the rasas, we can serve the Supreme Lord and we can be there in eternal bliss. So this is the Goloka Vrindavana. Devotees will not aspire even for Vaikunta or Dwaraka. Their destination is Goloka. So in different rasas, we can have relation with the Supreme. In Vaikunta and Dwaraka, it is not possible. In Vaikunta and Dwaraka, what is possible? Aishwarya Bhav, Dasya Bhav, Shanta Bhav. That is possible. No Sakya Bhav, no Vatsalya Bhav, and no Madhurya Bhav. It is not possible to interact with the Supreme Lord or have relation with the Supreme Lord in Madhurya, Sakya, and Vatsalya. It is possible only in the Vrindavana or Goloka. So that's why the pure devotees of the Lord wants to attain that realm where they can have variegatedness, different mellows. So Vrindavana is the transcendental place where Krishna enjoys his eternal pastimes as a boy, and it is considered the topmost sphere in all excellence. When this Vrindavana is exhibited in the material world, the place is called Gokula, and in the spiritual world it is called Goloka or Goloka Vrindavana. So when that Goloka Vrindavana came in this Bhaumya Vrindavana, is called as Gokula on this earth. A devotee who is attached to a particular form of the Lord does not wish to redirect his devotion to other forms. For example, Hanuman, the devotee of Lord Ramchandra, knew that there is no difference between Lord Ramchandra and Lord Narayana, and yet he still wanted to render service only unto Lord Ramchandra. That is due to the specific attraction of a particular devotee. Okay, there are many forms of the Lord, but Krishna is still the original form. Though all of the devotees of the different forms of the Lord are in the same category, still it is said that those who are devotees of Lord Krishna are the topmost in the list of all devotees. So from this, as per the Rupa Goswami's version, we know that Lord Krishna in Vrindavan is the top form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It doesn't mean that the other forms are inferior, but technically speaking, yes, Lord Krishna's form is superior to all other forms. Although other forms are equally important and same operant, everything same, but still, if devotees of the Supreme Lord always want to go and reside in Goloka Vrindavana, having loving exchanges, loving mellows in different rasas with the Supreme Lord. He is Akhila Rasamrita Murti. He can enjoy different mellows with each and every devotees, in each and every person, in each and every living entities. Each and every living entity is unique, and Lord reciprocates with that living entity in a unique way. So this is what we have to understand. So Rupa Goswami has given very nicely, quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, the position of different devotees, what is their destination, what they are aspiring. They are not aspiring for any material wealth or opulences, not even for liberation from this material existence. They want to serve the Supreme Lord, in their Swarupa, birth after birth. So this is their prayer. Different personalities, exalted devotees are praying the same thing again and again. So we have finished this 15th chapter, right? Which chapter it is? Fourth chapter. So from this, devotees have any comments, want to share something, want to ask something, we can discuss for some time. I didn't stop in between. I thought that I will finish that and ask questions. Hare Krishna. So over to you, devotees. Please share your thoughts, realization, or comments, whatever you have. or else we'll have to go to the next chapter.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, here our understanding, just to get, I think, for everybody to understand, Krishna is considered to be similarly functioning in the Goloka Vrindavan, like he's doing in the material world, this Vrindavana.
Yeah.
So that is where our bhava or our relationship can be there for Valsalya Roop or Madhurya Roop or Sakya Roop.
Yeah.
So in the other planets or the Vaikuntha planets,
Yeah.
he is in his the Virat, the big Roop, Vishwaroop.
No. Virat Roop is only in the material world.
Only the material. So
And-
therefore, okay. So the difference is Krishna doing as a cowherd in the Goloka Vrindavan?
Yes, how you want him, that way he will appear. Yathamam prapadyante.
Okay.
Just like in the Bhaumya Vrindavan, how he was doing in the same way. It's a replica of the Goloka Vrindavan. This Gokula in the Bhaumya Vrindavan is exactly the replica of the Goloka Vrindavan of the spiritual world.
Okay.
So how you want to relate with him? How you want to have relationship with him? Just like as a cowboy, yes, he will be there like that. And for the gopis, as their conjugal lover, and for the parents, as their son. So in what way you want to have the relationship? What is your Swarupa accordingly? And some are in the neutral, just like the plants and the trees, Kadamba tree. So that is all what Rupa? Shanta Rupa.
Okay, Prabhu. So in the this is in this rasa, and in the Vaikuntha planets.
Aishwarya Bhava. You can have either Shantarasa or Dasya Rasa, and to a certain extent Madhurya Rasa, because Lakshmis are there.
Okay. In
So
Vaikuntha.
Lakshmis, they have also Madhurya Rasa. That is what only for Lakshmis. Okay. And for the living entities, we cannot have Madhurya Rasa or Vatsalya Rasa or Sakya Rasa in the Vaikuntha planet. There it is 400 form of Narayana. In Dwaraka also, the mellows, reduced.
Because he's more of Aishwarya there.
Yes, above Vaikuntha is Dwaraka. Above Dwaraka is Madhura. Above Madhura is Goloka. So, if you take from Goloka to Dwaraka to Madhura to Dwaraka to Vaikuntha, the mellows start decreasing in degree.
Okay.
So all the 5 rasas are there in Goloka. All the 5 rasas.
Okay.
Just when the Govardhan Lila took place,
Okay.
all the Vrajavasis came under the Govardhan hill. So there were elderly gopis who were enjoying the Vatsalya Rasa, and there were young gopis who were enjoying the Madhurya Rasa. There were gopas who were enjoying the Sakya Rasa. There were other gopas and other inhabitants who were enjoying the Dasya Rasa, and there were other, other living entities like the trees and plants and other who were enjoying the Shanta Rasa. So all the 5 rasas, he could enjoy all of them in different modes. So when gopis see Krishna, they are having a Madhurya Rasa. When the Sakhas see Krishna, they are having the Sakya Rasa. Okay, when elderly gopis are seeing Krishna, they are having the Vatsalya. So in different ways, in one place, all of them came together, and Krishna was enjoying in different ways. And each and every inhabitants of Vrindavana were also enjoying in different mellows.
Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
So Brahma in that Leela, he brought everybody together. Okay, so that was nice. Krishna liked that. Because of that, although he wanted to test Lord Krishna whether he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whereas in the other, not Brahma, sorry, the Indra.
Indra.
Okay, whereas Brahma, what he did, he separated. He separated. All the cows and cowherd boys separated.
Correct.
Here, Indra brought them together. So that was one good plus point for Indra. So when Brahma understood that I did a big mistake, blunder, he himself took some austerity or of taking birth in Chaitanya Leela as a Mlecha or Yavana, and he became Haridas Thakur, who was born in a Yavana family. So it was his self-austerity that he took.
Prabhuji, also here in when Brahma Brahma's Leela was there, I think it is said that the elderly Gopas like the children more than their own children.
Yeah, because that is Brahma's Leela, because all the cowherd boys and calves who were kidnapped by Lord Brahma and hid them. So what happened? Lord Krishna expanded as cowherd boys and cows, and they were staying in the house of all the elderly gopis and gopas as their son or as the calf of the cows. So they had more what you call emotionally attachment to us, because it is the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Prabhu, one more thing. Very nice, Prabhu. Prabhu, this any more description of what is this Atmarama, this thing about the liberated souls? I think that is the this Atmarama, or the self knowledge of the soul. I think that is the same thing of devotional service surpasses all liberation. I think this whole chapter is also talking about the same thing, right, Prabhuji?
Yeah. If you read Chaitanya Charitamrita, I think it is in Madhya Leela, I don't know which chapter. There is a so many verses describing about this one verse. So this is, Sanatana, it was a teaching to Sanatana Goswami by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in that, this verse, how many slokas are there describing about this one verse? So it's very little technical, but if you read again and again, you will get some idea, Prabhuji, about this particular verse.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
So any other comments, or somebody want to share some thoughts?
Prabhuji, during our Bhakti Shastri class, when Srivas Prabhu had come, he was talking about this principle of this Brahmavadis or this Mayavadis of Ekatva.
Yeah.
As you said some time ago, that it is suicidal.
Suicide.
For the pure devotees, devotional service that will come to an end.
Yeah.
He was explaining about that, Prabhu. I was just remembering that he was stressing upon that to think in those terms is suicidal to all the pure devotees for their devotional service.
Definitely. So those who are pure devotees, bhaktas, they will never accept this. Why? Because we are relinquishing our individuality. We were eternal, we are eternal, we will be eternal. That's what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Natvevaham jato nasho. Right? So, and we lose our identity. And Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita very clearly, Mamai Vamso Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, eternal. And they are my part and parcel. So how can you leave your identity? So that is suicide, especially for devotees, because they cannot do any devotional service. A devotee without devotional service means it is dead, just like a body without soul. So this is the status of those devotees who want to merge in the effulgence of the Supreme Lord. They are losing their individuality and they can any longer serve the Supreme Lord. If we have no relationship with the Supreme Lord, we cannot serve the Supreme Lord. So what is a life? There is no life. It is a dead person. There is no life or consciousness in that person if there is no devotional service. Because everybody, whether in the material world or in the spiritual world, service is a must. Everyone is serving one another. Whoever you may be a very, very, what you call wealthy person, very reputed political person, or maybe a householder or ordinary person. Everybody is serving one another. So service is there. That is the inherent quality of jivas. You have to serve. And you want to leave that service and sleep forever? No, it is not possible. You cannot enjoy. We cannot enjoy. So that is the,
And all the beautiful prayers are so well explained here, Prabhu, by so many pure devotees.
very nicely explained. So
Very
Prabhupada,
nicely.
Prabhupada has taken, all the devotees' prayers. What is their aspiration? What do they want? Very nicely. So we have to follow in their footsteps. All these petty things, material, opulences, name, fame, position, everything comes automatically. We
And
don't
the
have to,
final,
yeah.
sorry, Prabhu. Yeah, then the final conclusion after seeing all the prayers, we come to the understanding that only the attraction to the original form of the Lord is the topmost position.
Yes, top. Technically, that is it, because Krishna is the original form of Supreme Lord. All others are also equally, opulent. We should not consider them inferior, but this is our place, and this is the Lord or Shyama Sundara form in which that we should, focus. And yes, definitely. So we should aspire for that, just like in the footsteps of the Vrajavasis. That's the topmost. Just like the example is given as for Hanuman. Although Hanuman knows, but he is happy 100% as a servant of Lord Ramchandra. That's not inferior anyway. That is how his Swarupa is. It's connected in that way.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Correct. Any other points or comments? 5 more minutes we have. So I will stop the share. Okay, so please put on all the cameras so that we can see each other. Let us not be impersonal. Isn't it? Let us not be impersonal. Let us be personal and see each other.
Can we open our mouth, Prabhu?